The older I get, the more I find myself drawn to existentialist stories. Perhaps it's because the more time passes, I begin to think about the meaning of life and what purpose our existence holds. Themes of love, loss, and life begin to resonate with me the older I get, as I realize my parents are aging and their bodies are not able to do what they once were as their mortal clocks tick further and further with each passing year. What if you could put an end to death? Stop the decay of your mortal body? What if an afterlife actually exists? What would it look like to be truly immortal? These are philosophical questions each and every one of us have asked at least once in our lives. Is it possible to prolong or live forever and preserve this meat sack we call the human body? It seems Sakaguchi began to ask these very same questions as he began to explore what it would mean to be immortal, and what pain would follow a life void of death. Lost Odyssey follows the lives of 4 immortals as it attempts to answer these questions through one of the most emotional video game stories ever told. While not the best video game tale ever constructed, Lost Odyssey's characters and their journey has stuck with me all these years as I've longed to revisit the philosophical elements inside and see how they hold up. And spoiler alert, they most certainly do. Join me on a journey spanning 1,000 years as we follow the lives of Kaim, Seth, Ming, and Sarah, exploring the happiness, sorrow, love, and loss across their 1,000-year lives in this story analysis retrospective of Lost Odyssey. With the global success of Final Fantasy VII, Squaresoft's ambitions grew even bigger as they found themselves looking to expand their market. The once measly ambitions to crush their competition Dragon Quest was long behind them. Squaresoft found themselves standing in direct competition with Western games. They weren't just a household name in Japan. Final Fantasy had ensured they'd become a household name across the Western world. With a newfound goal to continue to expand their Western influence, their ambitions grew bigger and stronger with each passing year. But ambition leads to zealousness, and well, oftentimes pride finds a way to nip you in the butt as a painful reminder no matter how tall you think you are, pride can and will stomp it out. The team split into 2 different groups, with one going on to make the much anticipated Final Fantasy VIII and the other setting their sights on Hollywood. Many other projects were greenlit during this era, resulting in what many would call Squaresoft's golden era. If you saw that Squaresoft logo on a PlayStation 1 game, you knew you were going to go on a journey of a lifetime. But every golden era ends, and a bronze age soon follows. The taller the giants, the harder they fall. The Final Fantasy team found themselves splitting up into 2 teams as Sakaguchi began to realize growing ambitions coming from his younger staff members at Square. He allowed the main team behind Final Fantasy VII to go off and create Final Fantasy projects they could call their own. This project would become Final Fantasy VIII. It would go on to sell extremely well, reviewing positive, and fans for the most part seemed to enjoy it. With Final Fantasy VIII released, the team moved on to their next big project, Final Fantasy X. Meanwhile, Sakaguchi set his sights on Hollywood. His ambitions to make a movie had grown stronger and stronger. With 3D computer animation becoming a thing, why couldn't Square Enix take over Hollywood? Pixar certainly was, and Squaresoft had already been known for their beautiful CGI cutscenes. It seemed like a match made in heaven. The audience for adult animation seemed like an untapped market. Sakaguchi moved out to Hawaii to start a Squaresoft branch to be closer to Hollywood to work on Final Fantasy The Spirits Within. At this time in Hawaii, Sakaguchi would create Final Fantasy IX while working on The Spirits Within. He had planned to take the series back to its roots after Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy VIII had deviated so far away from its fantasy origins. Square boldly stood on top of the world, but sadly, like all giants, everything comes crashing down. The Spirits Within fell at the box office, becoming one of the biggest blockbuster blunders of 2001. In an instant, Squaresoft's ambitions to move into Hollywood were crushed in an entire box office weekend. After the complete and utter failure of Final Fantasy The Spirits Within, Squaresoft found themselves in a precarious spot. For the first time in over a decade, Square's profits were in the red. It didn't help that Final Fantasy X was also set to release outside of that fiscal year. Had it released in this fiscal year, it would have kept Square in the green. Overnight, Sakaguchi's Hollywood ambitions were completely crushed. It was during this time Squaresoft was also trying to complete a merger with Dragon Quest publisher Enix. The box office failure of Final Fantasy The Spirits Within had almost cost Squaresoft this coveted merger. Things had begun to change at Square. Both Final Fantasy VIII and Final Fantasy X crushed Final Fantasy IX in sales. Couple this with The Spirits Within, trust in Sakaguchi likely waned. Because of this monumental failure, Sakaguchi voluntarily stepped down from his role as president of Square. Sakaguchi took this especially hard, taking full responsibility for The Spirit Within's failure. Yoichi Wada would take over his role, and like any businessman stepping up to the plate, ambitions were crushed, assets were flipped, and company morale began to plummet, and oh boy did it. But that's a story for another day. A demoralized Sakaguchi found himself tired of the business side of Squaresoft and wanted to get back to making games for the sake of making games. Money was great and all, but not when it impeded on your creative freedom, and this is what Sakaguchi craved more than anything. Perhaps it was developing Final Fantasy IX with a team of his own, where he rekindled his ambition to just make games. He missed the freedom to just create. Without looking back, he left the company to pursue his own endeavors. The core structure of Square would change forever without his leadership, an effect that is still being felt to this day. Sakaguchi would eventually start up his own Mistwalker studio with the full backing of Microsoft. With the release of the Xbox 360, Microsoft was trying to gain a foothold in Japan and push loyal Japanese PlayStation fans to invest into the 360 market. And what better way to do this than advertise that the father of Final Fantasy is now making games for you? It seemed like a match made in heaven. But as luck would have it, Sakaguchi's woes didn't end here. It was at this time Microsoft greenlit 3 projects: Blue Dragon, Lost Odyssey, and Cryon. The first of these 3 projects would be Blue Dragon, Mistwalker's answer to Chrono Trigger. With the help of longtime collaborators Akira Toriyama and Nobuo Uematsu, work began on Blue Dragon. Hitting above average reviews, Blue Dragon resonated with its audience, making its budget back. Developed alongside Blue Dragon was Lost Odyssey. Sakaguchi had overseen the development of both of these titles, but were co-developed by 2 other studios. Artoon, who was perhaps best known for their work on the Blinks games for the Xbox, headed the development of Blue Dragon, while PhilPlus headed up the development of Lost Odyssey. PhilPlus was made up of former staff members from Japan Studio and Nautilus, composed of staff that had worked on both The Legend of Dragoon and the Shadow Hearts series, so while new to the studio, they did have some street cred in JRPG space. Both Shadow Hearts and Legend of Dragoon were known for their intricate and interactive battle systems. For Lost Odyssey, Sakaguchi asked his friend Takehiko Inoue, who was most known for his work on manga such as Slam Dunk and Vagabond, to be the character designer for Lost Odyssey, and asked his longtime collaborator and friend Nobuo Uematsu to compose the music once again. Uematsu is a man who needs no introduction. The man's talent speaks for itself, and Lost Odyssey's soundtrack is a stroke of pure genius. I'll talk about the soundtrack later, but a bit of a sneak peek, it is absolutely amazing. Unfortunately, despite everything lining up, Lost Odyssey was unable to hit its quota. It seemed the Japanese audience wasn't meant to be, as Japanese fans were too loyal to Sony. And it was at this time games such as Oblivion were taking the Western world by storm. People weren't interested in console turn-based RPGs anymore. The turn-based RPG at this time seemed to be dying out as more and more people were looking towards the open world RPGs such as Oblivion and Fallout 3 were offering at the time. Despite Lost Odyssey reviewing well with critics, Microsoft pulled the contract with Sakaguchi. This led to the cancellation of Cryon, Sakaguchi's other Microsoft project in co-development with Cavia, who was best known for their work at the time on the Drakengard series. What Cryon could have been, who knows? All we got was a leaked concept trailer. Sakaguchi would go on to make 2 direct sequels to Blue Dragon for the DS, Blue Dragon Plus, and Blue Dragon Awakened Shadow. His last big-budget game would be The Last Story, followed with his work on the mobile game series Terra Battle, eventually returning to make Fantasian, and before you ask, we'll be looking at Blue Dragon, The Last Story, and Fantasian at some point on the channel, I'm sure. Lost Odyssey is a very character-driven narrative. While on the surface, Lost Odyssey isn't breaking the molds of the typical war-torn fantasy roots, it's characters in conjunction with the themes and how the characters react that make Lost Odyssey such a memorable game. Lost Odyssey follows the story of 4 immortals who have all suffered amnesia and have lived a life of 1,000 years. Each of these characters have lived a life of love, hope, despair, and heartache. To help convey some of Lost Odyssey's deeper themes, Sakaguchi and Microsoft contracted out famed Japanese writer Kiyoshi Shigematsu to write small memory fragments called 1000 Years of Dreams. The 1000 Years of Dreams could be read as a novel on its own, and honestly, you can find it online right now and give it a read. I'd recommend doing so if you don't plan on playing Lost Odyssey, but it is worth discovering these through the game, as the music transcends some of the text written and helps really bring these stories to life. This won't be the last to bring up 1000 Years of Dreams either, far from it. It's a crucial part of what makes Lost Odyssey so special. I think it's due time, though, we take a look at the 1000-year lives of our immortal friends and get the story analysis on the road. Lost Odyssey primarily takes place on an unnamed war-torn continent. The three factions leading the war are Kent, Ura, and Gotza, and they are locked in a rising conflict. The Free State of Nomura has been able to stay out of the war thanks to the efforts of Queen Ming. Thanks to the influx of magical energy, it's drastically changed the landscape of war. With each of the three empires wanting to advance their technology over others, Ura has been able to get the upper hand with magical technology thanks to the efforts and the powerful mage Gongora. Ura and Kent are locked in an intense battle taking place on the Highlands of Wool, which borders the two empires. Mistwalker wastes no time in showing off their budget with an epic cinematic showing our protagonist Kaim Argonar rushing into the battlefield. After a quick introduction to the basic battle mechanics, we witness much of Kent's army force being resurrected with some sort of necromancy magic. Seemingly out of nowhere, a meteor is hurled towards the sky, crushing the forces of both Ura and Kent, decimating the Kent army, leaving them completely destroyed. The intense crash caused much devastation and wiped everybody out, but somehow Kaim has survived. He isn't sure how, but he doesn't seem to be the only survivor, as a young lady named Seth Balmore also appears to have survived the meteor impact. The two travel together in an armored car and head back to Ura. It doesn't take long for Kaim to be summoned to the council with questions on how he survived the meteor impact and soon be questioned on how it actually happened. Ura used to be a monarchy, but after the death of the king, his heir Tolton gave up the throne to Ura and turned it into a democracy. Tolton is but a king in name only. Kaim has no idea how he survived or what happened, as the gods of the RPG tropes would have it, Kaim can't remember a damn thing. Ah yes. But a wise and cunning Gongora has the answers. Kaim is an immortal because of my magic, he says. I can smell the foul stench of darkness oozing from this guy. Kaim's personality is about as complex as a box of rocks, but this is to be expected when you can't remember a damn thing. He just goes along with it. Kent has asked for a ceasefire with Ura after the events of the Highland of Wool. The council wants Kaim to investigate Grandstaff, which may have caused the discharge of magic energy causing the meteor to fall. After Kaim mentions there was another immortal, Seth is asked to accompany Kaim to Grandstaff. Gongora isn't too happy about his pet project, Grandstaff, being called into question. We are free to explore the town for a bit if we desire before making our way to the inn. As Kaim rests for the night, his nightmares intensifies. He has dreams of a young girl no older than 10 plummeting from a high cliff into the water as he and a woman shout, trying to stop her. Whoever this girl is, her death has had a clear impact on Kaim. Who is this girl and this mysterious woman we have yet to see? But fret not, dear viewer, we will soon find out who these people are. Resting at an inn, we are introduced to one of Lost Odyssey's more unique features: dream segments that can be unlocked by talking to certain NPCs or meeting certain criteria. These dream sequences are known as the 1000 Years of Dreams. These are short stories encompassing the life of Kaim and his many adventures over the past 1000 years. While none of these stories are required to understand the overall story, you would be missing out on some of the game's best moments. The first story Kaim unlocks is about a young girl named Hannah, who's become well acquainted with him during his visits to an inn. Hannah is sick and unable to leave her house. Kaim and her bond over many stories he has to tell her. Kaim, being a mercenary, leaves out the violent portions, unable to bring himself to tell her about the more violent aspects of his travels. As time passes on, Hannah unfortunately succumbs to her illness, passing on into the next world. Kaim tells Hannah her parents will join her someday, and telling her a lie, he will see her on the other side as well, knowing full well he can't die. While you can find these collections online and read them, take the time to do so in-game. There's some in-game music here that is truly amazing, and Uematsu's compositions really bring out the emotional elements of these stories. I'll be going over 1000 Years of Dreams in its own deep dive in a later section, and going over some of my personal favorite stories. The next morning, Kaim wakes up. While walking through the streets of Ura, he realizes he is being followed and hides behind an alleyway, catching his stalker off guard, nearly choking him to death.
Wait, let go! My throat! Damn!
Why are you following me?
You're Kaim Argonar! I mean, Lord Gongora asked me to do it! It's the truth! I'm supposed to tell you to go to his manor. He has something important to tell you!
You are?
Jansen, messenger for Lord Gongora. At your service.
We are going to become very well acquainted with this man, as he serves as the much needed comic relief of this game. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the class clown Jansen. We learn Gongora has been placed on house arrest. It seems the council doesn't trust him, and for good reason. Tolton isn't too happy about this and plans to use his leverage to see if he can get some sort of favor to get Gongora off with a softer punishment. Talking to Gongora, he offers up a bit of information on Seth Balmore. She was a pirate who recently enlisted in the Ura army, though he's unsure of when she officially enlisted. Gongora wishes Jansen to accompany Kaim and Seth in their investigation to Grandstaff. The next morning rolls around, and a drunk off-his-ass Jansen shows up, accompanying some of the ladies of the night, shall we call them. Seth is none too happy about this. She's not happy that Jansen has shown up drunk to the mission. My first observation when entering the field was how reminiscent the music felt of Final Fantasy VI. This won't be the last time we talk about the soundtrack, but the sound and vibe gives off this heavy steampunk feel of Final Fantasy VI, which fits well with Lost Odyssey's world. Kaim, Seth, and Jansen must pass over Ypsilon Mountains in order to make their way to Grandstaff. Jansen becomes very curious about Kaim and Seth's memory loss, wondering if it's an actual thing. Seth says something along the lines of her body remembering she's gone through the mountains before, but that's about all she knows. Perhaps this is to say she has no memory of ever passing through the mountains, but she does have some sort of muscle memory, so to speak, of passing through these mountains many times. Kaim, on the other hand, doesn't want to remember anything, saying whatever happened was too painful to remember. We know from his dreams, Kaim has been feeling something, and whatever it was, it must have really hurt him. Perhaps now would be a good time to talk about the trope of the amnesiac protagonist and why so many Japanese RPGs overuse this trope. It's not uncommon for many fictitious works to use a form known as the unreliable narrator. This is often the viewpoint character in which we see the world through. These characters are often used in ways to ease the audience into the world, letting them learn alongside of characters and see how the world works. It's essentially a quick way to have the audience learn terms and ideas the characters would otherwise be familiar with. Having an amnesiac protagonist is just one way of doing this, But characters who are oblivious to the outside world and are raised away from internal conflict, or the way of the world, like Harry Potter, Luke Skywalker, and Titus from Final Fantasy X, are just some other ways to handle these same characters like this. Frodo would be another example of this since he doesn't know much of the world outside of the Shire. The isekai trope is also another very commonly used trope in Japanese media to convey this certain type of character and teach the audience about the world. It's not so much that developers overuse the amnesiac trope as much as it is a convenient plot device for them to dump the audience into the world and teach them what's going on. They arrive at the hut up in the middle of the mountains, and a whining Jansen wants to rest. Kaim decides it's probably best for Jansen, whose body isn't used to all this climbing. Later that night, Jansen pulls out a pearl given to him by Gongora, instructing Jansen to only use the pearl if Kaim or Seth show any signs of regaining their memories. It's beginning to feel like Gongora has more nefarious plans than meets the eye. Whatever he is plotting, he has no intent of letting Seth or Kaim interfere with those plans. The scene shifts to Tolton back at Ura, sitting down to enjoy dinner. But before he can eat, Gongora busts in shouting the food's been poisoned.
Oh, Lord Gongora, please wait.
Pardon the intrusion.
Oh!
Gongora, what are you doing?
A moment, please.
What is going on, Gongora? Answer me! The council has placed you under house arrest!
Behold.
Gongora, what is the meaning of this?
It's a little too convenient if you ask me. Gongora knew the food was poisoned. He seemed to be playing Tolton, wanting him to restore the throne and end the Republic. Kaim recognizes Grand Staff despite never being there before, and a boss fight ensues on top of the mountain. Now would be a good time to go over just how Lost Odyssey's combat works. Lost Odyssey is a turn-based battle system much in the vein of the early Final Fantasy games. Speed is the determining factor in deciding turn order. Outside of the typical turn-based RPG formula, Lost Odyssey doesn't stray too far from that. You have your typical classes of White Mage, Warrior, Thief, and Black Mage as common staples. Where Lost Odyssey differs is how the immortals work in battle. Your immortal characters cannot die in battle, but they can be incapacitated. This allows them to get back up after 3 turns of being incapacitated. However, if all party members fall before any of them get back up, it's game over. This makes you stop and wonder if you should use those precious angel plumes you have to revive the immortals or use them on mortal characters, and just wait for the immortal character to revive themselves. There is also a great deal of strategy that often goes into these fights. They aren't just straightforward select your attacks. Very often I found myself using status buffs during battle, taking time for my white mages to cast barricades and shield to keep my defenses against physical and magical attacks up. Maybe I needed to heal quickly, I might have another party member use casting support to ensure they were doing so this round, rather than waiting for the spell to charge up for the next round and take additional damage. But where Lost Odyssey really stands out is the CG gauge. Both the player party and the enemy party have a CG gauge. As long as this gauge is full, you won't be able to damage the back row hardly at all. Even magical spells won't do much damage. It is in your best interest to keep this up as high as you can, as this ensures your back row, which mainly consists of your magical users, let's be honest, who have lower physical defense, don't take as much damage. If it does, your back row is going to receive a significant amount of damage, so you want to keep it up as much as possible. The CG gauge will go down with each attack from an enemy, but abilities like Wall will restore it. On the flip side, lowering the enemy CG gauge will let you damage the enemy's back row much more efficiently. You'll also be able to equip certain types of rings to deal extra damage, elemental damage, and other benefits. These rings will appear as timed button presses in battle, and depending on whether it's good or perfect will determine the proficiency of the added bonus. This is done by holding down the left trigger button and then letting go at the precise time in order to enact either good or perfect. We've got a few more things to go over gameplay-wise, but we'll return to those when we have more party members. Grandstaff has been going haywire, and the team stationed there hasn't been able to receive communications at all since the Highland of Wool events. We make our way to the first truly challenging boss fight of the game. One thing you begin to realize about Lost Odyssey very quickly is it's almost as if every boss fight has a gimmick in order to defeat them. Once you realize this, it forces you to think in terms of how the game wants you to play rather than playing the game the way you want to play it. This was the first time in a long time I've played, maybe outside of Shin Megami Tensei and Persona, that forced me to use spells to up my physical and magical defense, and this fight was no different. The trick to defeating this boss is to know when to use Defend. Defend is going to be crucial here if you want to survive the strong attack he releases after he sucks all the energy out of the smaller bugs. After a brief look into the damage caused by the monster, Kaim, Seth, and Jansen are attacked by Numaran soldiers. It would make sense that the other warring nations would be interested in what is happening at Grandstaff. Seth tells Jansen to use his magic to blow up the pipe and plan an escape. Hesitant, he decides to listen to her and Grandstaff explodes. Despite their efforts, however, it doesn't go as planned. They are captured and thrown in jail by the general of Numara, Kakanis. This guy is extremely hard to take seriously and acts more of comic relief than anything else.
Archers, forward! But General, our own troops are in the line of fire. Well, then they'd better be able to dodge arrows. Move! Archers, stance!
Kakanis doesn't buy the story of them just being lowly travelers who just happened to come across Grandstaff. I mean, do you blame him? He's right to assume we are spies of Ura after all. Meanwhile, Seth begins to recall her memory that she remembers this country of Numara. Kaim once again has a dream of the same girl jumping off the cliff. I think it's safe to assume this girl was his daughter, and the woman with him was his wife. The cage they are in is lifted up by a crane and they are whisked away. By this point in the game, I was very antsy to get to a safe spot. I barely got by the skin of my teeth against the soldiers and the monster at Grandstaff, so I was very eager to save my game. Jansen pressures Kaim to embrace his memories despite how painful they are to trudge up. Seth berates him over this for even bringing them up in the first place. It's revealed Gongora offered Jansen triple the pay if he used the pearl on them for them to forget their memories. But what is Gongora trying to hide? Why doesn't he want Seth and Kaim to remember their memories? These are mysteries that have yet to be revealed, but we are soon going to find out just what Gongora is planning. Jansen pressures Kaim to embrace his memories despite them being too painful to trudge up. Seth berates him for even bringing them up, as it's clear they're very painful for Kaim to even think about. It's revealed Gongora has offered Jansen triple the pay if he uses the pearl on them to forget their memories. But what is Gongora trying to hide? Why doesn't Gongora want Seth and Kaim to regain their memories? The mysteries are starting to build up, and I couldn't wait when I first played this to understand why Gongora was doing what he was doing. Jansen instead decides to use the pearl on a Numaran soldier guarding the cell, coercing him into letting us out of the cell. Jansen, despite his annoying personality times, is much needed comic relief in this game, and he lightens up the mood in some of the darker moments this game has. After a quick trek into the next room, we're able to get our gear back and are forced into a rather annoying stealth section. I don't know why so many developers feel the need to put random stealth moments in their games, but I'd really wish they'd stop. They negatively affect the stealth genre. The negativity towards the stealth segments in games likely bleeds into why the industry hates making actual good stealth games, such as Splinter Cell and Metal Gear Solid. As a fan of stealth games, I find this incredibly sad. I get why these segments exist. It's to break up the monotony of running around and battling all the time. It adds tension to the story as well. But most of the time, these segments don't even stop enemy encounters. It just prolongs these sections and makes them some of the most hated moments in even the best of video games. After making our way through a rather annoying stealth section, Jansen can hear a harp playing. They figure it must be none other than Queen Nomura herself. Jansen decides he's going to pull a bit of his flirting skills to woo the queen. What could go wrong? Seth recollects a memory of her talking to Queen Ming back in her pirate days.
I laughed for the first time in a long time. I don't know if she felt the same way, but at any rate, she seemed fascinated by everything I said. Treasure hunting in the Great Eastern Ruins, beating the crap out of pirates who stepped out of line. I covered it all. Tell me about your life. But when I look back at the way she let me keep talking, I think she might have longed to be free, just for a moment. Here, take this. Scoring a queen's pendant without a fight. I must be really lucky today.
No, I'm only lending it to you. The next time we meet, I want it back.
Jansen busts into the queen's chambers and manages to get a name before putting her into a sleep. It seems he had planned all along to kidnap the queen and use her as leverage against Kakanis. General Kakanis is taking advantage of her and plans to stage a coup at some point to overthrow Queen Ming. It's quickly revealed Queen Ming was never asleep, but simply judging Jansen's character. She puts a freezing spell on Jansen's leg just in time for Kakanis to show up. Poor Jansen is trapped. Back in Ura in the mansion, Gungora is reciting some sort of ritualistic spell, creating some clay-looking creature. We're going to find out very soon what this creature is. After arriving back at Numara, the queen sets us free and we can explore the free state of Numara. Ming lets them go almost as a way for them to find out what information they have about Ura, as Kakanis wants this information and to find out what happened at the Highlands of Wool. Kakanis seems to want to start a war with Ura, but Ming wants peace. Nomura is known for being the nation of peace. We make our way to the ghost town just outside of the Numuran port. There we come across two children playing near some flowers. These flowers, known for their beauty, are their mother's favorite. The flowers were also on the cliff from Kime's dream where the girl had fallen off. The two children introduce themselves as Cook and Mac. It doesn't take long for the Numuran Jackass Brigade to show up and bully the kids. After another somewhat annoying fight with the soldiers, the children invite Kime and the party to their house. Let's just take a little bit to talk about Cook's English voice actor here. Every kid in the 90s is going to recognize this voice. It's none other than Kath Soucie, regarded for her role as Lil in Rugrats.
Don't pick 'em!
Hey, you little brat. Next time, say that before you hit someone. You got that, kid?
Shut up, you old geezer!
Geezer? Old?
No. You got to share stuff with your brother, Tommy. It's the law. Phil and me shares everything, not them. Hey, give me some of that waffle, Philip!
Upon entering their home, we see an extremely sick, bedridden woman, and the kids gather around her bed. Perhaps it's best if I just let this scene play out, and then we can talk.
Good afternoon.
Hey there.
These people are from Ura. They protected the Tundra Flora from these stupid soldiers, didn't they?
The flowers.
Mom? What's wrong?
Mom? The flowers. They've let me see you one more time.
The flowers. They brought us together.
Oh, Father. Father?
What?
Father?
Miriam, is that you?
Father.
Lirum!
Lirum!
You survived.
I've missed you so much.
I'm so sorry. I couldn't save you myself.
Is Mom?
I don't know. I haven't seen her since. Sarah. I have to find her. She doesn't even know you're alive.
I don't have much time. Cook. Mac. Come here. Listen, both of you. Kaim here is my father. I know he looks very young, but he is your grandfather. The one I've told you so much about. Your dear, dear treasures. I've been able to hold on this long because you've been here. Father, take care of them, please.
Of course.
Father, there's something I've always wanted to tell you.
I know, Lirum. I know. Lirum!
I'm glad. So very glad. I could see you once more.
Lirum! No, don't go. I'll bring Sarah here, I swear. Hang on, Lirum.
Mom! No! No!
This scene alone was one of the only things I remembered from Lost Odyssey from my first playthrough back in 2008, and it's no surprise why. There are so many emotions floating around this scene. First off, you've got the gut-wrenching performance from the voice actors of Cook and Mac, watching in fear as they realize their light has left their mother's eyes. It's immediately gut-wrenching to watch young kids experience the death of their mother. Kaim, on the other hand, just realized the meaning behind his dream. Not just that, but a moment remembered every emotion he ever had in his past. Just imagine being Kaim in this moment. You remember losing your daughter to what appeared to be an attempted suicide, that being the last time you saw her. You realize your daughter is not only alive, but has children of her own. Before we even have time to feel happy, you watch her die again moments after finding out she was alive. This scene alone reminds me so much of why Sakaguchi is so good at writing impactful character deaths, because the immediate tension I felt from the scene, not even knowing really who Cook and Mac were or who this woman in the bed was, delivered such an emotional gut punch. It was one of the most emotional moments from this game and has stayed with me all these years. And I think that says something incredibly powerful at just how impactful this scene with Lirim truly is. The scene shifts back to Ura as Tolton looks at a statue of his father for guidance. A rather familiar looking monster appears. Roxian shows up and attacks Tolton, with Tolton killing Roxian. Like clockwork, Gongora shows up telling him it was Roxian who sent the puppets and tried to poison him. Of course, Gongora is going to show up to gain his trust in a moment where the Chancellor just surprisingly dies. He tells Tolton they will tell him he died in an accident, and once Tolton leaves, this seems to be nothing more than a puppet, no doubt, Gongora's doing. So what happened to the real Roxian? The scene shifts back to the next morning, and Kai must now bury his daughter. Normally, I'm not a fan of stopping the pace of a game to do such mundane tasks such as gather items, but this somehow works to Lost Odyssey's favor because of the intensity of the scene. Coupled with the children mourning her death, it also plays heavily into the themes of the game. It's after the funeral when Cook and Mac say how amazing it must be to be immortal. That's when it hits you. This isn't the first time Kaim has had to bury and mourn the loss of a loved one. It sets in just how miserable of a life it would be to be immortal. The next morning, everyone wakes up to a note Mac left behind stating he's gone off to the Crimson Forest to talk to his mom, since spirits seem to congregate there. Kaim needs to go get him since he promised Lirim he would watch out after the kids. I really enjoy the dynamic between Kaim and these kids. This can come off a little bit as a tonal shift for Kaim's character. He really just went from being nothing more than a blank slate, having suffered from amnesia, to all of his memories coming back to him all at once. This, make no mistake, is Kaim's true personality. It also drives home to us, the player, that we too play some role in protecting these young children. Making our way through the Crimson Forest, we can see the dark and dreariness of it. This forest was once inhabited by the Eastern tribe that was wiped out many centuries ago by Numara. There is a lot of residual energy left behind. The dungeon itself is pretty standard, and the puzzles are not overly complicated to figure out. Eventually, we make our way to the deep forest to find Mac possessed by an evil spirit. This is another gimmick fight, and the trick here is to not let Mac die. It's pretty easy to move forward in this fight. If you need to heal Mac, just do so. After saving Mac, Cook berates him for taking off, reminding him Mom is dead and she can't come back. However, something incredible happens. Play scene.
Oh, man, what is it this time?
I don't know. It feels different than the spirit that attacked Mac.
Well, not to me.
The other one felt evil. But this is different. It's warm, tender. It's almost tranquil.
You two get back!
Come here. Flowers.
What is this? Incredible. It's a miracle. This is a miracle.
It's Mom. Yeah, Mom's here. I know she's here. She heard us. She felt us. Mom, look. We're doing fine, Mom. Mom, I'm gonna go find Grandma. I'm gonna grow strong like Kime.
It's warm. The warmth of her soul. Lirim's brought us a miracle, Kime.
It was this scene and the death of Lirim that stuck with me the most all these years. It shows how incredibly powerful and well written these characters really are. With the Crimson Forest out of the way, it's finally time to swap discs and make our way to disc 2. Tell me, when was the last time you had to physically get out of your chair, off your couch, walk to your console, and put in the next disc? Lost Odyssey reminded me this was a thing. With Max safe and back in our party, he will now have access to shadow magic, as well as make a decent damage dealer, though his HP isn't quite as high, so he's not as much of a powerhouse, say, as Seth or Kime is going to be. With a full party in hand, though, now would be a very good time to talk about an ability specific to the immortal characters. Every immortal can now learn abilities and equip items and learn skills from items and characters. This is done from accumulating SP in battle. Again, this is only something immortal characters are allowed to do. Mortals can use magic from items or skills from items, but they have to keep that item equipped in order to receive the benefit from said skill. Each immortal will be able to learn any magic spell or ability from another character. However, just because Kime can now heal in a pinch doesn't mean he was designed to replace your healer. His MP is not sufficient enough to be able to make him useful in healing or casting magic. While you can effectively later on create a mage that wields a sword, this isn't ideal. At the end of the day, a mage is a mage and a fighter is a fighter. By going into the menu, you can select which skill your party member will learn, and the current mortal has to be in your party. The mortal and immortal's learning skill must be in your active party for the character to learn these skills. This, by design, can be frustrating and cause a lot of switching back and forth from party member to party member in order to learn new skills. Skills mortals can learn are based on level, so achieving a level up will get them the desired skill you are currently pursuing. Rather than having a traditional level up system, characters level up once their bar hits 100. This is a way to ensure the party isn't over-leveled or under-leveled, but it causes characters to only gain a level once every battle, meaning you can only gain one level per boss fight. There are ways you can technically level up faster if you know where to go and what to do. Namara Atoll is one such place you can level up your party very early on. Eventually, you'll be able to learn skills in late games such as double SP or double experience. There are a wide range of experimentations you can do with this setup, and it's more fun to just play around with it and find something that fits your style. Just like immortals can learn abilities and skills from characters, they can also learn them from items and keep them permanently as well. This is done the same way, by gaining SP in battle. You can learn a wide range of abilities, from magic to status element immunities, to some that teach you outright skills and buffs. The caveat is you must equip the item in the menu, but there are only a certain amount of slots each character has ready available to equip the abilities they've learned from via characters or accessories. There are ways to increase this later on through certain items you can acquire that increase the amount of slots your characters are able to have. This is just something to keep in mind when you're going into battle and deciding what status element immunities and magic abilities you are going to take when equipping some of your characters. Unlike immortals, mortal characters are not able to learn abilities and skills from items. So if you want to get said ability from item, you have to have that equipped. However, that does mean it is possible for Jansen or Cook to use shadow magic or Cook to use black magic, but they won't be able to use it unless you have the item equipped. This does cause you to stop and think, do I need an immunity against a certain status element, or do I want to go in and be more of a powerhouse offensively with magic? So these are something you're going to have to consider before stepping into battle. The party arrives back at Nomura only to catch a broadcast from Ura. Tolton has announced that Ura is going to war with Nomura after getting word that they plan to invade Ura. Great, what's Gongora plotting this time? With Roxy dead and the Republic shattered, Tolton has taken his place as king of Ura once again. This begins suspicion that Jansen may be a spy, which he doesn't really deny, saying that he was in it for the money, but it seems Jansen has had a bit of a change of heart. Seth wants to kick him to the curb, but Kaim seems to find him useful, deciding to keep him around. Kaim decides it's best for them to keep a low profile and not make a big deal, considering if they do, this will likely escalate the war between Ura and Nomura. Their best chance is to gain an audience with Queen Ming and let her know what's going on and what they know about Gongora. Kikanis is on to us and uses some sort of sorceress to pull out a magical lens put into Jansen's eye. This was how Gongora was spying on us, and he knew just about every move the party was making. This doesn't shake the suspicion that Kikanis has about us being spies, but even his sorcerer tells him, hey look, this isn't just something any random person can use. This is some truly heinous magic being used here. In the meantime, Kaim told Cook and Mac to hide, who concoct some weird spell to turn Kikanis' army into some weird skirt-looking bikini. It's best not to ask questions at some point and just enjoy the humor provided here. The party makes their break to the palace and busts into Queen Ming's chambers. Ming doesn't seem to remember any of the immortals or even really have any idea of what's going on. She too seems to be suffering from the same spell of amnesia that has taken over our other immortal friends. It doesn't take long for Kikanis to bust in a quick desperation, Jansen grabs the queen, holding her hostage with a charged magical spell. He uses her as leverage to get out. Ming points out there is a hidden chamber in her room, which leads to an escape route to get out of the castle. However, it doesn't take Kikanis too long to find us and attack us with a giant tank just outside of Nomura's gate. It's a rather hard fight, and we'll need to take out the cannon and tracks to stop it from doing massive damage. This will let us take out the actual tank with relative ease. Kikanis fires a cannon and destroys the arch in front of the city, and it's going to be a bit before we can return to Nomura. With time to settle down, Ming seems to be well acquainted with Mac and Cook, as she gives off the sense she's well loved by her subjects and deeply cares about those she watches out over. She asks if something happened to their mother, and Kaim explains that she has passed away from an illness. Ming is quite taken aback, feeling bad for Cook and Mac. If you needed any other indicator they were close to the Queen, Cook refers to her as Aunt Ming. With her memories awakening ever so slightly, the only way she is going to regain anything she lost is to join the party and find out the truth behind her missing memories. We need a ship though, so we break into the harbor and steal Kikanis' slant nose. The engine on the ship used to belong to Seth's ship before it was eaten by a giant fish. What's weird is the Queen can't even say she wants to use it. They immediately call Kikanis, who's in charge of Nomura, and how Kikanis gained so much power over Queen Ming, I have no idea. Seth hops into the pilot seat and puts her pirating skills to use. The party spills the beans to Ming that they are all immortal, including her, and that they only remember they were sent here on a mission alongside of Gongora. But what this mission was and why Gongora has betrayed them has been erased from their memories. Upon arriving at the next continent, Seth has a dream. This is one of the few rare times we get to read 1,000 years of dreams that doesn't pertain to Kaim. She recalls a dream about a past lover named Ainera. During her pirating days, Seth had a strict code. She wouldn't kill nor steal from the poor, only targeting the rich. She tried to be a true Robin Hood archetype. Unaware she was hurting others, the rich she stole from began to resent her. Seth would continue to scuffle those up, but she would never kill. She couldn't die after all, so no matter how much they tried, she would just come back. The story, despite trying to pin Seth as a moral figure, shows what happens when resentment of the rich, the very nobles she stole from, got tired of it. Just because they have abundance, just because they have more than everyone else, it asks the question, does it make it right to steal from those who have more? Does it make the person stealing to give to the poor any better, or are they just as evil? One day, the people got tired of her knowing full well she couldn't die, concocted a plan to get back at her, a way that was far worse than death. They caught her, took her to a nearby cave only a few men knew about, and chained her to a boulder, leaving nothing but a small lamp to pierce the darkness. Seth cannot die. She has no idea how long she is going to be here. The light represents a glimmer of hope someone will find her, but once the light fades, all hope will be lost, just like the darkness she will be forever stuck in will become her new reality. Her hope of being rescued gone. Days, maybe years, who knows at this point, a beast from the Winged clan appears. His name was Ainera. He was the last of his species, and the two found joy with one another. Seth was immortal and couldn't die. Ainera had nobody who was like him. The two of them together filled a much-needed void deep within each other as they traveled together. These pieces that accompany the 1,000-Year Dreams are something else. Let's just talk a little bit about the music of Lost Odyssey. I barely remember the soundtrack of Lost Odyssey going into this retrospective, despite playing it back in 2008 when it first came out. As a matter of fact, I distinctly remember walking away from it back in 2008 saying it was one of Uematsu's weakest OSTs ever. I just didn't find it memorable at all. I am here to tell you how wrong I was. Ever since booting up Lost Odyssey and playing it again, the soundtrack hasn't left my head. It's been living rent-free there, humming every tune while I'm at work. It's the more emotional compositions that have stuck with me the most, though. Lost Odyssey soundtrack could best be described as a mixture between Final Fantasy VI and Final Fantasy VII. It's got the industrial high-tech sounds of Final Fantasy VII, but its more emotional songs hit the level of emotion that Final Fantasy VI does, as well as some of the steampunkish vibes from the FF6 soundtrack. While it's one of Uematsu's weaker soundtracks for sure, this by no means is a knock towards Lost Odyssey's soundtrack. It just goes to show how prolific of a composer Uematsu is, because Lost Odyssey is still an absolute banger. We talked early about how it borrows some of the elements of Final Fantasy VII for its more industrial sounds, while the more somber tones borrow from Final Fantasy VI. While both are incredibly well done, I found myself gravitating much more towards the emotional pieces. Probably due to the nature and theming of the game in general, it really helps bring the bleakness of the world of Lost Odyssey to life. Deciding to go after Gongora, they're going to need to find a way to get back to Ura. Realizing they will be unable to, they decide to go to Gotza, the current nation Ura is at war with. Before we can make our way to Gotza, we need to stop by the small village of Tosca, the past home of Kaim. He is immediately recognized by the villagers, who were excited to see him, telling him his old house has been abandoned ever since him and his wife Sarah had last left. However, nobody knows where Sarah is. The path to Gotza has been sealed off by a witch who now lives in the old house of Kaims. Well, it's time to visit the mansion. We can head to the cliff, which looks oddly familiar to those very same flashbacks we got with Kaim and his wife watching Lirim jump off the cliff. Before we head off, though, we can go to the bar, and Jansen and Ming have a bit of a moment. Ming drinks so much, she actually collapses from the amount of alcohol she's consumed.
Wow, that good. Are you, okay?
Ooh, I feel very lightheaded all of a sudden. It's affecting me like you said it would. Oh, your muscles
Yeah, well-
are so...
Hey, oh! Oh, no.
It's time to head off to the old mansion, though, and defeat the sorceress of the old mansion. The music here is simply eerie, giving it a much-needed creepy feel to the mansion. The puzzles here are also again easy to figure out, but it is easy to get turned around, so you're going to spend a little bit of time in this dungeon trying to figure out where to go. If you haven't prepared, however, the creatures in this mansion can give you a bit of run for your money. You can farm them a little bit leveling up since you are close to the Inn of Tosca and can just go back and heal at any time you need to. Making our way to the bottom of the mansion, we can encounter the sorceress. It turns out the sorceress is Kaim's wife, Sarah. Consumed by her grief of losing her daughter, she was unable to move on. Her energy has negatively affected the mansion, giving it this haunted feel. This is another gimmick fight. The trick is to defeat the orbs around Sarah without letting them kill her. Attack them does hurt you, but it's so minuscule the damage isn't really worth worrying about. It's not anything a quick heal from your healer won't be able to take care of in a turn. Somehow Sarah thinks she killed their daughter. I'd imagine, like all the other immortals, this was how Gongora got to Sarah and likely erased her memories. Overcome by grief, she just wants to rest and wallow in her self-pity, but Mac and Cook have an idea.
You ready? Waves coming just like the morning comes. Things come and go, but soon they'll disappear into the dusk. We all collide together and we fall apart. Then it all goes away. But there will come a day that our light will shine. From the darkness and sorrow that we knew, there will be a light that reaches us inside. To a new world full of love that sees us through. I know it, I feel it, you're heading straight home back to me now. I know it, I feel it, you're heading straight home back to me now.
Sarah! Sarah, it's me, Kaim. Wake up.
Kaim.
Yes, it's me.
I think she's going to be all right now. I don't sense any pain or fear in her magic energy.
That's good, right? She's back to herself again.
Loved you once. And I still love you.
You remember?
No. My memories are gone. But you, I know you're my husband. I know what we left behind in this house. A journal I kept. I know you are Kaim. The only man I've ever loved. I've been waiting for you.
That wasn't in Gongora's plans.
What was it?
Record keeping. Even though Gongora erased her memory, Sarah was driven back here by the longing in her heart and returned to her home. The home spirit called to her.
I could live here.
The journals she left behind provided a record of her 1,000 years of living.
Nice.
Welcome home, Kaim.
I remember you. I remember how much I loved you.
Part of me knew that I loved someone with all of my heart, even though I had no memory of just who it was. That and the feeling that I'd lost someone precious to me.
That would be Liram.
Liram. Our daughter.
Liram is no longer with us.
She was our mother. Our mother was always singing us that lullaby. And so we sang it for you, Grandma. I'm Cook. I'm Mac.
Nice to meet you. Cook? Mac? My journal kept me living in the past. Now my life is full once again. Because our daughter has given us these beautiful grandchildren. Everything that happens from now on will make new memories to live in my heart. Don't you think that's wonderful?
Uh-huh.
Being surrounded by these mementos is what helped me wait for you.
There is something so charming about this scene. Even though the two characters who are doing the voices for Cook and Mac don't have the greatest voice acting or singing voices, it doesn't really matter. It's that authentic feel of what it would sound like of children who maybe weren't the greatest at singing a song to their parent or their grandparents. It's just a wholesome scene that brings out some of the best aspects of Lost Odyssey's emotional moments and adds to the emotional depth the scene is trying to convey. With all the immortals in our party, we can finally build a killer party and make our way to Gotza. After making their way through the cave, the party heads to the town of Salmon, a merchant town overcome by a curse that has turned the residents into, well, a scene straight out of The Living Dead. We can't go to Gotza because a giant iceberg blocks the path we're going to need to investigate to see what's going on. There is this weird magical anomaly in the ocean, but we'll need to find the captain in order to check out the anomaly. Lucky for us, he's on the shitter at the end, so we decide to go bug him.
Oh no.
Poor guy can't even take a shit in peace. The anomaly leads us dead center to experimental staff. As the name suggests, this was the prototype built by Gongora before Grand Staff. While on the ship, another dream for Seth opens up. She recalls another memory with Ainera. It has been nearly 900 years since Seth has met Ainera. Seth has given up her travels and settled down with a mortal man, having a kid with him named Sed. Her husband died of an illness during an epidemic and left her to take care of Sed alone. Ainera took the role of Sed's father figure. It was during this time Seth remembers what she was sent here to do, and returned to the tower only to be stopped by Gongora. He wishes to be the ruler of this world, fashioning himself as a god. Seth was unaware, however, she fell right into Gongora's trap. Gongora uses his magic to possess Ainera, making him attack Sed, ripping off his leg. In a pool of blood where he stood, his leg is in his mouth. Gongora's magic made him lose control and transform into a ferocious beast. Ainera attacks Seth, and in a bout of defense, she plunges her sword into Ainera, killing him, feeling a great manipulation, driving her to want to forget her past. I love the way this is written, but I'd also be lying if I said I didn't want to watch this as a cutscene. These moments with Seth feel like they are lacking that character development. Something feels missing in these portions despite how well written they are. It's just weird to me they put so much character backstory into a couple of novels rather than actually letting these cutscenes play out. Entering experimental staff, Gongora is moving parts from the staff here to use in the construction of Grand Staff. Gongora seems to be losing some of his power, as voices from the other world begin calling him back. The party arrives to take on Gongora.
What about your orders, Lieutenant Argonar?
I'm no longer your pawn. The memory you erased has returned.
Oh, really?
That was clever. Realizing that even death couldn't compare to the pain of being unable to remember. I might as well have been dead these past 30 years serving as your agent.
Those 30 years weren't so bad now, were they? I merely made the best use of your abilities.
It was dirty work.
It suited you.
There had to be a reason for us to come to this world in the first place. That includes you.
What reason could that be? So your memories haven't completely returned. My power was indeed effective at that time, meager though it may have been.
Hey, come on now. You know, you just do way too much talking and not enough listening, you know?
Silence, you idiot.
Hey, I ain't shutting up. You're the worthless scum after what you did to my eyes. Oh, by the way, that memory wiping pearl thing you gave me? Well, see, I used it on someone else. I don't know if that's a problem or not.
I know. I saw everything you saw, remember?
You're the sleazy one, Lord Eyebrows. Oh, and before I forget, this is the gold you gave me. I really want to throw it back in your face, and I won't. I'm just an idiot, right? Huh? Is that what you think? Huh? Can you see this, old man? Take a look at that! See that?
As if that matters to me. You lowly scum all deserve each other's company.
What's that supposed to mean?
Your newfound comrades. Kaim, Seth, Sarah, and Ming. They're traitors, each and every one of them.
Traitors?
Traitors? We came here for a noble cause. Then you abused your immortality to try and take over. And I was forced to bring an end to your atrocities. If you think about it, I taught you all a lesson!
Liar! You're the one who wanted control of this world!
Seth, calm down!
How pathetic. Do you know why I ordered you to Grand Staff? So that our mission would be a swift success!
And what is that mission?
That will not be revealed to traitors like you.
We're not traitors!
What do you think you can do about it?
You will return our memories.
I think not.
Cook, Mac, stay out of this.
It's because of him Mom's dead. I'm gonna stand by you.
Kai, Sarah, these are your grandchildren. I'll kill them as I killed your daughter. Only now, I'm even more powerful. This time, your memories will be permanently locked away, leaving you walking corpses for all time!
We'll see which of us is the traitor.
Lyram appears from a pouch taking care of her kids, healing their wounds, and this allows them to heal everybody else. The last thing to do is to escape experimental staff and make our way back to Salmon. Disc 3 is where Lost Odyssey's plot starts to pick up at a breakneck speed, and the stakes the plot has been setting up are raised. The game at this point also becomes more linear than it's been before. Cook and Mac are tired from their trek through experimental staff, so the party decides to let them sleep. With experimental staff being gone, the curse affecting the people of Salmon seems to have been lifted. While Cook and Mac are asleep, they begin to discuss what Gongora meant when he said they were traitors, and what their mission in this world actually was. Since Sarah kept a detailed record in her journal, Ming asks if she had anything regarding their mission in them. While details about their mission in Sarah's journals are scarce, her journals do offer up some light on the world and where they came from. The two worlds sit on an axis convergence point, meaning the world they are currently in is affecting their homeworld, the world the immortals came from. Sarah's journals describe the world they descended from as a pure, untarnished world. Perhaps their mission might be to find out the cause of the disturbance in the mortal world. This might be one of the more frustrating things about Lost Odyssey, is the lack of information regarding the world the immortals came from. It's kinda left ambiguous what this world is and what it really entails. We can get into this a little bit later as to what this world is and what purpose it serves within the narrative, as I do have some theories as to what this world could potentially be. The only other thing Sarah's journals seem to offer is that their minds came from this other world, acquired a body, and began what they call living. Gongora seems to insinuate that they have blood on their hands. Kaim is ready to accept any blood on his hands he may have, figuring as long as Gongora holds their memories hostage, he has the upper hand. With no other options, the party makes their way to Gotsa. Oh boy, the Ice Canyon is a royal pain in the ass. During random encounters, these monkeys appear to steal accessories, and unless you complete the side quest, you're not going to be able to get them back. This requires hunting down a specific item towards the end of the dungeon, having the monkeys steal it, and then fighting their queen. This isn't the only time we're going to have to deal with this either, as there is another dungeon with the exact same enemy type and side quest reappearing. After the quest is completed, because you can bet your ass I was going to get my accessories back and not lose any of them, we can finally make our way to Gotza. Gotza is preparing for an all-out war between Nomura and Ura, awaiting the nations to invade at any time. With no way to get an audience with the king, they make their way into town. Eventually, a man bumps into Kaim, dropping a coin on the ground. Both Kaim and Sarah are familiar with the coin and decide to follow this man. Kaim and Sarah leave the care of Cook and Mac in the hands of Ming, Jansen, and Seth. Mac and Cook wish to see the trains, asking if they can go on their own. What could go wrong, right? They're kids. Everything can go wrong. Ming talks with the king, proving she is indeed the Queen of Nomura by a symbol on her chest, but the king appears to be nothing more than a decoy. Kaim and Sarah follow the man who dropped the coin into Lowtown and begin talking to him in an abandoned apartment. This is King Gotza. Kaim and Sarah know who he was, though 50 years have passed since they met him.
Those words were first expressed by one of this world's ancient philosophers. His thoughts live on, even though people and history may change. The words engraved on that coin are the truth. That's why I gave it to you. I wanted you to read that, if you were ever uncertain of what to do.
Truth? Yes, these words certainly contain a truth by which one may live. Unlike you, however, I have learned through dedicating myself to the welfare of my people the impossibility of governing the world through truth alone. You've changed. We, the people native to this world, are different from you immortals. This truth is the most beautiful and significant to immortals such as yourselves. We mortals, however, have but a finite amount of time. Our options, like our lives, are also limited. And I have learned that sometimes one has to adopt less than ideal means to achieve ideal ends. Facts and reality sometimes demand that we take steps that contradict that very beautiful truth.
The world always holds such contradictions.
Though promising Kaim and Sarah he would always pursue the truth and be honest, it seems he no longer believes this, as he does believe some political manipulation is worth it sometimes. This sentiment could turn into an entire counter-argument in of itself. It brings up a good question, though. Should a government or ruling class strive to keep its citizens out of the loop for their protection? Or is being upfront and honest better in the long run? Without diving too much into modern politics, this is something we've come to deal with in our own modern political landscape. King Gotza has a meeting with King Tolton and Queen Nomura to discuss the peace between the nations. He wishes Sarah and Kaim to be a part of this meeting since they've been around for years. Cook and Mac check out the Royal Monorail. Taking control of Cook, they talk to a lady at the dock who tells them of the aurora that appears where they can see the dead. So naturally, Mac wants to see if they can see their mother. Mac and Cook take control of the train and fire off into warp speed towards the aurora. Let's talk specifically about Mac and Cook as characters. These cute little kids steal the show for me. Some of it has to do with their voice actors, but a lot of it has to do with Sakaguchi's clever writing. Most children in Japanese media, specifically in the realm of JRPGs, fall short a lot of times. They very often feel more of a nuisance than feeling like they add anything to the party, or they are written in such a way that they feel like little adults rather than trying to be children, only really emulating what an adult would do, but a lot less mature. These writers aren't trying to understand how kids would act in a situation. These are writers who understood how a kid would think in the situation, applying it accordingly. Lost Odyssey understands the balance between these two, making Mac and Cook feel like real children. Mac shows signs of strength and reliance, looking up to Kaim as a man he aspires to be, while on the other hand is a scared, whiny kid you'd expect him to be. Cook, on the other hand, tries to act like an adult, the much older sibling trying to act more mature and responsible, but giving in to the childlike curiosity one her age would. Sakaguchi isn't a stranger to this either. Both Vivi and Aiko from Final Fantasy IX were well executed in my opinion. Mac and Cook also mold well together. They're written in such a way they feel like siblings. Mac has the more child's curiosity, but Cook is the more mature adult-minded person. Mac gives in to the curiosity and Cook acts like the older sibling knowing it's wrong, but goes along with it anyways knowing she can't stop him. This would be the time where the younger sibling would get off with a lighter punishment and the older sibling would have been told, "You're the oldest, you should have known better." Any sibling will be able to relate to these two in some way. Perhaps you're more like Mac, tired of your bossy little sister always lecturing you, berating you for just wanting to explore the world. Perhaps you're like me, the older sibling, thinking to yourself, "Man, this pesky little brat always gets me to go along with his plan. It always ends in disaster, or I always get in trouble." I think when I first played this game, this is the reason Cook became my favorite character. As the older sibling, I understood this a lot. This dynamic works so well, making them feel like they contribute something to the story rather than just simply existing to fill a spot in the story. Before Kaim, Sarah, and Ming can get on the train attendant tells them a couple of kids have taken off with a train, knowing full well this is Cook and Mac. Kaim and Sarah decide to go after them, leaving Seth and Ming to represent them in the meeting. Ming breaks the news about Gongora and what happened at the Highlands of Wool, stating that Gongora was behind the attack. Tolton can't believe it, but surmises that the Queen can't be lying. It seems Gongora is watching through another magical eye. This time he's using Tolton to do so. Tolton and Gotza agree to build Grand Staff for Gotza so the two nations can have equal power, clearly playing at the notion if two countries have an entire nuclear army at their disposal, the countries are not going to go to war with each other in fear the other will blow them off of the map. That's an amount of bloodshed no politician wants on their hands. However, Gongora isn't a politician. He is someone who fashions himself as a god of this world and has other plans. Plans to kill Tolton, or at the very least, stage his death. You see, Tolton was never meant to come back from Gotza alive. Gongora uses his charm and is able to convince the people of Ura that he was assassinated, and that Tolton wanted him to take over as king if this ever happened. If you thought what Gongora did in the Highlands of Wool was bad, just wait. You haven't seen anything yet. The train guards send their security after Kaim and Sarah, who are able to fend them off, making their way to Cook and Mac's location.
Cook? Mac. It's all right. It's me, Sarah. Kaim's here too.
Kaim? Sarah?
You can come out, you two. It's safe. It's all right. It's all right now.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to see Mom.
I know, sweetheart. I know. I miss her. So do I.
I'm sorry.
You had us worried.
With the intense magical energy, they fear they might not survive. This is another one of those ambiguous moments in Lost Odyssey that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. The game never explicitly says how immortality works, only stating that if the pain is bad enough, that the immortal person can die. I have to think at this point this is done for dramatic effect, since Seth and Kaim had a meteor drop on them at the beginning of the game, and they're still alive. As much praise as I give Sakaguchi for his writing, this is kind of one of the big blunders of the game, and I have to call it into question. In order to save Mac and Cook, Kaim and Sarah split the train in half, leaving the train away from the intense cold spell Gongora's cloud is currently creating.
Something's happening! Everything around us is frozen! What's going on?
I sense magic energy. Far more powerful than anything I have ever encountered.
It's the Wool Highlands all over again!
Whoa, 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 stop it! Wait, just wait. You don't think this is Grand Staff's doing, do you? Huh?
Gongora! So Kaim was right. No choice makes any difference now.
King Tolton! What is the meaning of this?
I don't know.
King Tolton?
I tell you, I don't know!
You cannot hesitate now. Implement the contingency plan immediately. Yes, sir, Your Majesty.
Contingency plan? That is the How would that work, actually?
Reprisal. It's the only response to aggression such as this.
No! That's the worst thing you could do!
As a fellow head of state, you too should understand that military action is sometimes the best option for defending one's people.
That's ridiculous! You have no idea what you're dealing with!
Okay, who's driving this thing? Contact Gongora! What has happened? What is he doing?
Flee, Your Majesty. Must escape. Where do you think you're going? King Tolton!
Seth!
That was supposed to be me.
Let's hurry. Forgive me. Truth has been overcome by fact and reality.
Ah! Huh? Okay, this is weird. Why am I not frozen? Maybe I'm immortal. You know, my mom always said I was special. Yeah. What? Ming!
I don't know how long I can hold out. But at least I can keep you safe for a while.
Well, don't play hero for my sake. If we're doomed, I'd rather we freeze together. Maybe even sealed with a kiss.
Oh, really?
Well, you know, everybody, needs a sense of humor. If we're gonna die, might as well die laughing.
Meanwhile, Seth and Tolton find themselves back in Ura, which is quite convenient considering they were looking for a way to get back there to begin with. Gongora plans to go with a ritual to make him a king, and Gotze has invaded Ura, so Ura is in complete shambles. On top of this, Gongora has had a band of pirates captured and plans to burn them alive. The second time this year I've reviewed a game back-to-back where a deranged sociopath wants to burn people alive. Seth gets wind of who the criminals are after seeing them on the screen. It's her son, Sed. Back at the castle, Gongora is going through the process of making himself king.
O blood of the royal house, bestow your glory on this man. Grant this man, Gongora, the power to assume the throne.
What the hell is that?
It's a ritual whereby people not of the royal bloodline may assume the throne. The successor must be adopted as a member of the royal house. This involves making them drink the blood of the rulers of Ura.
Ugh, that's disgusting.
We'll Well, that was horrifying. The Goatsen army shows up to avenge their late king just in time to stop Gongora from burning the criminals alive.
I don't know what to do. They came from nowhere. Get me out of here. Somebody help. How do we get out of here? How do we get out of this?
Sid!
Mama!
It's okay. It's okay.
Mama?
Yep, this is my boy.
Huh? What? Mama. This man, isn't he the king of Ura?
I'll tell you later. Long story. We're out of here. Come on.
Move it!
Okay.
Gongora makes his way to Grand Staff to continue his world-controlling shenanigans. Seth, Ced, and Tolton make their way back down to the sewers to escape. Cook and Mac are struggling to stay awake in the intense cold as the cold is starting to take an effect on their bodies. Mac collapses while Cook hangs on, eventually helping him back up to continue. On the other hand, Ming and Jansen are having a bit of a romantic moment as a song plays in the background.
How I feel for you and what I want to say keeps getting locked inside. I like to make what you are into someone irreplaceable.
There will always be by my side. What you are into something so cool in this life of mine that I... Oh.
I'm not quite sure if this moment warrants a love song, much in the veins of like Eyes on Me from Final Fantasy VIII or Melodies of Life like Zidane and Garnet, because we haven't had a moment where these two have really had time to shine. But it is a nice touch that it shifts to Jansen singing the song of all things. Again, adding to Jansen's comic relief, which is much needed in some of the darker moments of this game. Protecting Jansen back on the train seems to have wakened some of Ming's memories. This has caused Ming's eyes to change color. It seems her memory loss was affecting the color of her eyes. Much like Kaim at the beginning of the game when he was first revealed, his emotional state was kinda bland. Ming is the same way. Though done intentionally, this is the point where Ming's personality starts to open up a little bit, and we get a deeper idea of what her true personality is. In a flashback, we learn Ming was forced to seal her own memories away by Gongora or witness her kingdom be destroyed by some gigantic beast. Ming didn't like violence, which is why she found this plan diabolical. Not wanting to see her subjects suffer, she decided to comply. Leaving the area and making their way down the track, Ming and Jansen come across a collapsed Mac and Cook.
Mac! Oh, come on, little buddy.
Cook! Hang on. She's so cold.
Get up, Mac. Wake up! Wake up! It's me, Jansen. Wake up! Come on, wake up!
Cook! Wake up, Cook!
Let's do it.
Liram, lend me your strength. Give us your light for the lives of your children.
Yes. Good. Good.
Oh, thank goodness.
You're all right. It's okay.
Thank you.
It's okay.
Thank you, Abby.
All right, let's go.
Ced, Tolton, and Seth defeat a giant monster and find Ced's ship, the Nautilus, making their escape from Ura. Jansen, Ming, Cook, and Mac make their way to the end of the track to see if they can find Kaim and Sarah. At a refugee camp left over from survivors of Gotha, they get word the train crashed up ahead. This must be where Sarah and Kaim are. The intense cold and pressure of the train force them to fall underground and freeze below. This has to be one of the more annoying dungeons of the game. Just for the fact alone, we are relying on 4 magic users at this point with no real way to deal any sort of physical damage whatsoever. The party comes across Kaim and Sarah, and after defeating a monster, they're able to rescue them.
Whoa, hey!
Kaim! Sarah! Are they okay?
Kaim! Come on, buddy. Snap out of it. Come on, buddy. You're immortal, right?
Sarah!
No, let us do it, Ming. Yeah.
Kaim, you're back. I can't believe it. I thought you were dead. I mean, we gave up on you.
You're spitting in my face.
Spitting in your face. Hey, I love you too, you big lug.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank goodness.
This time, you saved us. Thank you for being so brave. Cook, Mac.
Thanks, Jansen.
Don't worry about it, buddy. We've got bigger problems. By the way, you can always get a job as an ice sculptor. Kidding.
Just then, the Nautilus appears and the party is reunited. Seth was able to locate the party thanks to the pendant Ming was carrying, letting out some sort of magical energy the Nautilus was able to pick up. After some much needed catching up, it's time we go after Gongora.
Hey. What? Were you sleeping? When we passed out, I dreamed. I saw Mom in the Aurora. You were there too. Really? That's so weird. I had the same dream too. I wanted to ask you about that. Maybe we really were there. Wait a second. You mean it wasn't a dream? Yeah. Well, were we able to get to the Aurora? Well, Mom was there. So it was like a dream. Yeah, it was like a dream. But it wasn't a dream. She thanked us for coming, didn't she? Yeah. She said she had something to tell us. And it was something for Kaim and Sarah. I think so. I wonder if they'll think we're crazy if we tell them what she said. Nah, I doubt that. They're not like that. Well, then let's tell them. Hey, wait, Mac. Let's just check and make sure we really saw her together. What? Oh, okay. Tell me what she said. Together, okay? 1, 2, thank you. And then she went on like she really wanted to tell us something. Yeah, she did. She said she loved us. She said she was glad we came. Yeah, she was glad.
Ming remembers everything that's happened in the room from the mirror 30 years ago. So she decides to elaborate a little bit and tells the party.
Do you remember the world on the other side?
We must return. We can't stay here. We're not from this world.
Yeah, that much I remember.
When these mirrors give off light, a path links the two worlds.
I shall remain here.
They won't allow it.
Don't you feel the light?
Oh, I feel it.
Time has begun to flow again.
1,000 years was a long time.
And yet, those 1,000 years were very important.
A sleeping spell.
That won't work.
You think? You don't understand. As long as we and these mirrors remain here, magic energy will increase in this world. This place shall soon be replete with that magic, and we will be able to access power stronger than any ever known.
To do what?
You will understand. So set your mind at rest. I won't kill you until then. Until then.
And he killed Lirum. And he took advantage of Anira's betrayal of Seth. Threatening me and leaving my subjects' very lives hanging in the balance.
He used our shock and distress to steal our memories.
If we are going to get out of the currents and make our way back to Nomura, we are going to need a way to get through these powerful currents. Lucky for us, there is a rune left behind by the Eastern Tribe where magical items exist that can help. Oh, a MacGuffin, you say? How awesome! This was the very same dungeon I mentioned earlier with the damn monkeys again. It took me forever to get my shit back. After acquiring the object, we can make our way back to Nomura only to see the beasts making their way towards Nomura. These are the very same beasts we saw earlier in the flashback Ming was having when she regained her memories. The object here is to beat all 4 of them. We are only going to have to encounter 3 and put them to sleep and then pick one to fend them off one by one. If they are asleep, they won't move, so you'll likely have to encounter them multiple times, run away, to stop them from reaching Nomura. After returning to Nomura, Kakanis puts on a big show about how happy he is to see Queen Nomura back safe and sound. However, he planned to overthrow her from the very beginning. He wanted power and wasn't keen on Ming's pacifist take and how she ruled her nation. At night, Kakanis thinks the party is resting in the castle only to bomb it, but is confronted by Ming, surprised she wasn't in the castle. After another fight with his annoying tank, we are able to put a stop to Kakanis once and for all. Ming leaves her maidens in charge of Nomura in her absence as she takes care of unfinished business with Gongora. We get another rare 1,000 Years of Dreams, this time from Ming's perspective. It seems Kakanis' rebellion seems to have sparked a memory of another rebellion that took place in her past. She recalls one of her most trusted generals, Negrum, betraying her years ago. She almost has become accustomed to ambitions of men wanting to leave their mark on history. What I love about this story was how it placed emphasis on what it would be like to truly see history repeat itself. It truly puts into perspective what it would be like to outlive your generals, the historians that write your history. Ming has ruled for 1,000 years. To put this into perspective, this means she would have been alive to see the end of the Dark Ages, the fall of the Eastern Roman Empire, the rise and fall of Germany, the Napoleonic Wars, and the rise of America. She has no doubt seen a lot. Her heart is hardened but compassionate. You'd have to be to see this amount of death time and time again. With the white boa in our hands, we are finally able to move through the icebergs and make our way back to Grandstaff. We get a real quick scene between Jansen and Ming as they share a passionate moment on the ship.
Do you really mean it?
I can't say what Gongoro might be planning. For him to remain in this world for his own selfish ends.
Not about him. About you. Don't you want to stay and save Namara?
There's something else to stay for, too. I'm so glad I met you.
What? A bum? Like me? I'm sorry. I'm not used to this, you know, getting serious like this, and, well, I mean, you, see, you're queen, you got a castle, it's, you know, own your own country, you know, I'm serious when I fall in love. I mean, you know, I don't play around like that. I mean, I know I am good looking and kind of irresistible. But see, I never thought you'd get serious about me, and I gotta tell you, I mean, you being immortal, and I'm just, you know, just a regular guy, you know, good sense of humor, you know, but I don't know what to say. Help me.
So queens shouldn't fall in love?
Okay. I know you're there. Kids.
She likes you.
You two little snoops.
That's sweet. He's blushing. You're so cute, Jansen.
Ow! What are you, Seth's sister?
Aunt Ming, this is the guy for you?
He's the only one for me.
Perhaps what I love about this scene most is how authentic it feels. It just doesn't feel like two protagonists falling in love or fall into a lot of the common tropes that many modern Japanese RPGs do when it comes to romancing characters. And that's not a knock against some of the more modern writing of Japanese RPGs. I enjoy that kind of writing and I get the style it has. But it's nice to see a game go back to the PlayStation 1 and early PlayStation 2 era of romance, where two characters start to grow feelings for themselves over the course of the game. Though I wish Ming and Jansen would have had a little bit more time for their relationship to grow over the course of the game, as it did feel kind of rushed, this scene itself, it is specifically Jansen's dialogue that sells this scene. It feels authentic, feels like a bumbling idiot, feels like what somebody would say in a moment where someone was opening up and being vulnerable, kind of surprised and taken aback, a little bit embarrassed and not quite sure what to say. Jansen himself is just a well-rounded character, not to mention the whole addition of Cook and Mac just, again, feel like what kids would act like. These characters feel very grounded, feel very realistic. It's a nice change of pace considering some of the games that I've come accustomed to playing over the past few years. This is the first time we can really explore the world of Lost Odyssey. There has been quite of extra content here which we can now access. Most of it's just side content and doesn't really add anything to the story. We can visit the cave where Seth was tied to the boulder, visit some eastern ruins, and learn a little bit more about the entity that tried to possess Mac back in the Crimson Forest, explore all these strange objects we couldn't reach before. There is a bunch of stuff to do. Heading back to Ura, we can get a little bit of information regarding the disruption affecting their world and where they came from. Notes in Gongora's lab reveal a virus or energy began to make their world, their home world, the world of the immortals, unstable. This was what they were sent to investigate. 1,000 years in this world was only around a year in their homeworld. Emotions humans felt began to have a negative effect on the immortals' world. What's more interesting is how they were consumed by these very same emotions, not being able to avoid feeling them. It's funny, really. Gongora thought he was immune to it, but he was consumed by power, the very same emotion that is again began to drive the ambition we had just talked briefly about with Ming and her generals. Lost Odyssey does a really good job at selling this idea of emotions consuming humans and what it really truly does mean to be a human. It puts into perspective these entities, these creatures, these people we consider gods, these spirits from other realms, are kind of unable to feel certain human emotions, and it starts to explore what it would be like if they could. As soon as the immortals come over to the world, they are able to start feeling the very same emotions humans feel. This is why Kaim and Sarah felt such a great loss over the death of Lyra. It really puts into perspective in a way what the conscious spark that makes us so different from other species across the known world are. It is our emotions. It is our ability to recognize the patterns of life and death and know what true consciousness is. Know that moment, that time in life when the soul and the body depart. Let's talk a little bit about Gongora, because while he functions as a serviceable villain, I just don't find him memorable. Gongora is one of the weaker aspects of Lost Odyssey, as he lacks really any clear motivations. He kind of just sits in the background and is just perceived as this evil person. And it doesn't even give him that much spotlight to begin with. Gongora needed more presence on screen. Golbez, X-Death, and Kuja were all memorable villains because while they were in the background, they also had more time to truly show off who they were. They got enough screen time to sell the player on their truly menacing take as a villain. While Gongora gets the job done, he just comes off as a mustache-twirling comic book villain with no real ambitions other than to become a god of this world. And while that can work, it doesn't give us the motivation, say, somebody like Kefka did. His motivations, I feel, and how he adds up as a villain, don't really shine as hard as, say, something like Kefka. At least with Kefka, we got moments of him being truly menacing. him just kind of being evil for the sake of being evil. With Kefka, he was unpredictable in what he was going to do. Sometimes he'd show compassion just to get at certain people, but then he'd go pull off what he did in Doma and poison the water, killing an entire city of people. The flashbacks give us context to his evil misdeeds, but they fell short, in my opinion, to hit any emotional sentiment needed for full context. Sure, forcing Lirim to jump off a cliff was messed up. Causing Ming to erase her own memory or risk killing her people is evil. But what were his motivations? What made villains work Sakaguchi had written prior to this was there was enough subtle time for the villain to shine, and this was small but subtle little moments of evil doing following villainous monologue. Kefka worked because he was pure evil. We got to see small little scenes throughout of him actively trying to foil the characters at every step. There's a reason the poisoning of Doma in Final Fantasy VI was so widely regarded as one of the most memorable moments from that game. It's the small dialogue between Kefka and his subordinates that sold us Kefka was being truly evil. Every time Kefka appeared on screen, there was something about him. He dominated those scenes. What I'm saying is there needed to be a few more scenes with Gongora monologuing. It could have helped flesh out his character ever so slightly, making those hellish moments of havoc more impactful. He kind of felt like the one blemish on what otherwise was a well-executed game, in my opinion. Really, if I had to sum down the biggest problems I had with Gongora, was he didn't have enough time interacting with the party in the game. Everything he was kind of doing was just off-screen, and he never really got a chance to interact with the party members in any meaningful way, and I think that's what sells a compelling villain. Your characters have to feel like they have a direct relationship with the villain, and there has to be some sort of taunting in the story, I think, to truly sell a compelling villain, and that just feels missing in Lost Odyssey. I guess what I'm trying to say is, in the other games, it felt like there was a game of cat and mouse going on. Your protagonist and your villain had time to interact with each other, and he was able to taunt them throughout the game. While the flashbacks work and give depth to Gongora's character, it doesn't come off as well as, say, some of these other villains are, because in the moment they're taunting the characters. They're doing evil deeds in the present, making the characters feel like they have a relationship with him just outside of flashbacks. It would have been nice to see a little bit more of these elements rather than Gongora just kind of solely playing things off screen in order to propel the plot forward. Then again, it's hard to judge Lost Odyssey for doing this because it was clearly going for more of an emotional aspect regarding who the immortals were. So would it have made the game worse to do this? I don't know. I'm conflicted at what I'm trying to say here, but I do wish Gongora's motivations would have been a little bit more present than what they were. Before we can fight Gongora for the final battle, we must make our way through Grandstaff twice. The party needs to stop him before he rams into the Tower of Mirrors. Grandstaff serves as the de facto multi-floor dungeon that was a staple back in this time. Whoever took a look at RPGs and thought, you know what they're missing? 100-floor ending area dungeons right at the end of the game. I don't know what sadomasochist designed these games, but dungeons never needed to be this long. After the first trek through, Ced does some cool maneuvering and navigates the Nautilus to fly straight into the tower, and we continue our trek. The Tower of Mirrors is open. The only thing we need to do is to confront Gongora. The party has mixed feelings about going back. Ming is hesitant because she's just fallen in love with Jansen. Kaim is also hesitant because of his grandkids, but states they don't belong here, and I get where he does come from. They are the cause of all the problems going on in this world, and they have a mission to uphold, and they simply do not belong here. The party makes their way to the Tower of Mirrors. Inside the Room of Mirrors, Gongora is waiting for them. During the final battle, the four immortals fight alone, only getting small bits of support from their mortal allies. I really enjoy the final boss music.
Jansen, that's enough! Drop the barrier!
I'm trying, but something's not... I'm not sure what's wrong.
It won't go away!
What's going on? Check it out!
It's magic energy. The magic energy that formed the barrier. It's causing the power to increase. It's eating through!
This is bad! Time is moving faster!
What do we do?
No. It's happening again! Not again!
Looks like we're gonna be mummies before we lose our clothes.
I think this is the end.
You can't leave me like this.
I'm so glad I met you. You made a guy like me feel like an honorable man. If only for a little while.
No! You have to get out!
I don't think that's gonna happen.
Jansen!
I can't move. We'll be okay. Mom is waiting for us. I'm sure we'll see you in the Aurora.
Don't talk like that!
Sid! Get up! I can't move anymore. Your Graceness, I'm older than you know.
Sid!
Mama, it looks like I'm gone before you.
Stop talking like that!
Declaring my love to you at the end before dying. Noble, isn't it? I always wanted to play the dying hero, but really not really. I don't feel good. Any thoughts?
Jansen.
I love you, Ming.
Can we do something, Kyle? What will we tell Lyra? She wanted us to take care of her. You're our responsibility.
Hang on, Sid. Let me go. I can't hang on anymore. I can
One of the main highlights of Lost Odyssey has been its characters, and this is only built upon by Lost Odyssey's incredible ending. Watching each of the party members suffer as the effects of aging take their toll on their mortal bodies is an extremely powerful moment. Even as I watched for a second time, I couldn't help but get an overwhelming sense of emotions wondering about their fate. Over the years, Sakaguchi has become extremely talented with his writing. It is something I really feel he has excelled at, especially in Final Fantasy IX, and it's really perfected here. Each of these characters have had time to grow, flaws to overcome, and most of all, their own moments to shine. Even in the last moments of Lost Odyssey's weakest character, Tolkien gets a moment to show true bravery and save his friend. There's something soul-crushing about seeing the old man of the group cry out to his mom, saying it looks like he's going to die before she does. We all know that Seth was immortal, but this adds a giant oh shit moment to both Ced and Seth's characters. What really stills this moment for me, though, was Ming mourning what could be the last moments for Jansen. Hearing Jansen drop the line "I love you" in this moment was perfection in my opinion. Perhaps what was most soul-crushing was to watch Kaim and Sarah's reaction to Cook and Max slowly suffering. The line by Sarah, "We made a promise to Lirim," crushed my heart. It's something you can only understand when something as precious as children enters your life. We've come this far, I think it's time we see how this ends.
It's Gungura! What? I have won. What do you mean? Do you want to save them? Break the mirrors! Do it yourselves! Yeah! That's it! Use that and destroy the mirrors! But after you do so, we will never be able to return! My time has come! Grandstaff is not my only weapon! I have prepared storage tanks of energy everywhere! And with its power, I shall control the world! I shall lock your memories away for all eternity!
Breathe, it's all right.
I don't think we should stay here any longer.
Let's go.
Yeah, right.
I was not expecting Seth to be the one to take out Gongora, but I wasn't surprised. I had begun to feel at this point Seth was the most underused immortal. Kaim and Sarah had grown so much over the course of the game thanks to their connection with Cook and Mac. Ming finally had her memories restored and was able to find true love. Seth's character had much of her moments shine off screen, living that carefree life of a pirate, experiencing love, and having a kid. While Kaim, Sarah, and Ming feel like their lives are just beginning, Seth feels like hers had time to be precious. That line muttered by Seth, "I guess I'm going to die before you," cements this moment. It's because Seth lived a full life. This sacrifice works, and what a moment it is. Seth's reaction to her loss only exacerbates the rumbling of emotion inside.
The rudder is locked. It won't move.
What's that?
What's happening?
Whoa!
What? Don't let go? What are you, nuts?
It's loosened up.
Right, good move.
I don't feel the rudder.
It's Seth.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Mama? She's here now?
It's so warm.
Seth, what a woman. Mama. Just when I had finally found you.
Sarah? Seth isn't dead, is she?
No. She went home to her own world.
Is that not the same as death for an immortal?
In a sense, yes. Seth. Until we meet again.
With Seth appearing to help out the party, I can't help but feel what we may be seeing here is a very clear homage to the concept of a guardian angel, an idea of a loved one keeping us safe from harm. It's a running theory I've seen conceptualized in many Christian circles. The world beyond the Tower of Mirrors would make sense as being seen as a realm made up of angels. Perhaps going along with this idea, emotions would be interpreted differently in this world of ethereal beings. How they would think of emotions would be very different in turn of how a human would feel emotions. I'm only guessing at this point, but it does seem, at the very least, Lost Odyssey is playing around with this concept. Perhaps angels might be a more westernized term. It might be more apt to call these spirits watching over the party kami, these ancestral spirits in Japanese folklore. I'll elaborate more on this in a moment, but the idea of kami is at least being toyed with here in Lost Odyssey.
Looking back at it all, what this world has is imagination. It would be too much to say that this world was created by such imagination. You should also know that we have once again been infected by the virus of emotions, but I will cherish the experience of them now. It was feelings, after all, that allowed me to love Kaim. I have no desire to reject these thoughts. You remember Cook and Mac? Liram entrusted these sweet jewels to Kaim and me. We are now all four of us, living in Liram's old house. Our life is so ordinary, but those everyday things are more fun than I would have imagined. Tolton returned to his place as king. He and Ming both asked Kaim for help in governing, but he turned them down, and we bought a large farm. We're leading a much simpler life, working with other farmers in the area to grow what each season allows us to. And for me, once I see Kaim and the children off each morning, I continue to write my history of magic energy, one page at a time. Given all that I have seen of this world, I want to leave a proper record.
All right.
Oh, I nearly forgot. We have big news. Something fun is about to happen. Something that'll make history. Today, we have another celebration.
Yo! What a great-looking family!
Hi, Seth. They're picking us up. Good to see you again.
I'm telling you, you guys sure are demanding. What am I? Your chauffeur? Come on aboard! Dan! Are we late?
Not to worry. Do we, Russ?
I don't know. Lately, Tolkien has turned into a real kingly type of guy. Everything is organized down to the last detail. He's got a schedule for everything. Hey, he might have started already.
bride and groom shall step forward. Jensen Fried, do you take Ming Numara as your wife, promising to love her for all eternity?
I do.
Ming Numara, do you take Jensen Fried as your husband, promising to love him for all eternity?
I do.
Please seal your promise with a kiss.
Kiss. Yeah, this is my favorite part. Oh, these people. Gotta make this look good. King Jansen. Wow. I mean, I cannot believe this is happening to me.
King Tolton also have a promise to make. As a friend and as the ruler of Ura, as of this moment, I will do my best to restore the world to its native state, filled with love and mercy.
Congratulations are in order, Mama. I know you can see this.
So, Sarah, shall we try for another millennium?
I'd like that. So happy, Kaim.
I don't think the memories will be as painful as they were in the last one.
So once we've raised the children as Lyra asked, then what?
We can take it easy. Eternity's not so bad.
She love it here. Hey, it's Kai! Hi, Kai! Sarah! Sarah! Look at you!
This ending still haunts me to this very day. What it is meant to convey is a feeling of happiness, a hopeful moment of Kaim and Sarah living in the moment, watching their children grow up, grow old, and die, is pure nightmare fuel to me though. I think many walked away feeling happy with this ending, but my head allows me to go into so many dark places. Sure, Kaim and Sarah have each other for eternity, and 100 years down the road are called Grandpa and Grandma by their grandkids' children. But it feels like a miserable experience watching loved ones die over and over. Even what is meant to be a heartfelt scene between Jansen and Ming makes me feel despair for the same reasons. I feel like a lot of people are going to say I'm missing the point. It's about living in the moment and enjoying what happiness you have now, but I can't see it that way. It probably says a lot about me, but living forever to continue to see death sounds like agony to me. I can't imagine living forever watching the world burn, continuous wars breaking out, watching friends and loved ones die, hitting a prosperous time only to watch weak men idly sit by and watch the world burn again forever. Screw that. Perhaps it's because I'm too much of a nihilist in conjunction with my Christian faith, but the whole point of this fallen world is to die and move on, return to the glory of God and be part of something so profound, so meaningful, filled with warmth and glory beyond comparison to anything we can imagine. Look from beyond the other side and say, man, I can't wait for loved ones to see what I am experiencing here right now. To me, death from this mortal world is mercy, an escape from this fallen, God-forsaken hellhole we call Earth. It's a beautiful ending and one that makes you think. Depending on what you believe and how you view life will likely determine how you feel about this ending. I'm happy to open a discussion down below about it. Let's not turn this into a bloodbath about beliefs. I only ask you keep it civil in the comment section. Perhaps one thing I can take away from myself is I need to stop taking life so seriously somehow and find a balance between my nihilistic worldviews and the humorous happy child I used to be. While I'm not saying I'm at any point going to try to find ways to extend my life or strive to find a way to achieve immortality, I think living life to its fullest moment by moment is something I do need to work on. 1000 Years of Dreams is a unique compilation of memories mainly from Kaim's perspective, recounting many memories throughout his long life. These short stories can be very jarring for those expecting a typical video game. While these segments are not required reading, they do help flesh out Kaim's character and give more perspective on Lost Odyssey's deeper philosophical themes. It was one of the many risks Lost Odyssey would take, but a worthwhile endeavor that would pay off. The 1000 Years of Dreams are written very poetically. The flow and style make each entry feel engrossing. I remember reading a few of these when I first played it, but I skipped most of them the first time I played, and I regret not reading these back in the day, because these make up some of the best content Lost Odyssey has to offer. I'll summarize just a few stories that really stood out to me. Kaim meets a man in the tavern who's down in his sorrows in a shot glass. The war has ended and the man is afraid to tell his daughter about the countless of men he has killed. The weight and guilt of the countless dead bodies he stacked up on the battlefield has weighed heavily on his soul. The man wishes he could find a way to be redeemed, feeling like saving someone may be the redemption he needs for the many countless of deaths he's caused on the battlefield. Kaim offers advice just saying that he needs to go home to his wife and daughter as they'd probably see him as a hero. Just then, a man appears with a pistol to try and shoot Kaim. The soldier Kaim just talks to intervenes and gets shot in the process, dying on the floor. Kaim finds it ironic and sad how the man who just died got his wish for saving a life, but the life he saved was for a man who could not die. Another tells of a trip to another tavern where this festival ensues. A night everyone gathers around for festivities over an earthquake that happened a couple years prior. Kaim let slip to the barkeeper he was there, but he doesn't believe him. The last time Kaim was here, he watched and remembered when people died, and those people who were left behind. One of these people was his very own wife and children. Kaim remembers his time as a father and husband, wishing he could have done things differently in what would have been their last exchange. What made the story hit so hard in a lot of ways was the fact they had turned this celebration of death almost into something sort of joyous. This moment that they were still celebrating 200 years past, forgetting the reason for the very purpose they were celebrating it in the first place, to remember those who had fallen within this tragedy. It is time for me to open up and be vulnerable for just a bit. In April of this year, I lost one of my childhood friends due to some medical issues he developed over the course of the past few years. Both of us were 36. It was a month before this, in March, his mother had also passed away. These passings hit me particularly hard as I tried to recall the moment where I first met them and couldn't. That's when it hit me. I had known my friend and his mother for as long as I could remember. I was too young to even be able to recall the first time I met them. They'd pretty much been a part of my life for as long as I can remember. It was a coincidence. Me, his mother, and my friend all worked at Walmart together for a good 6 years. It was odd, really. After my friend passed away, I thought for a long good while, even beginning to ask myself, why him? Why not me instead? Unlike many, I don't have a desire to live forever. Despite believing in God, I don't feel a wide range of attachment to this world. I've developed a worldview of what I can only refer to as Christian nihilism. I can only hope that if an afterlife exists, all the pain, sorrow, and anxiety would fade. My hope is an afterlife would bend all paradigms of existence and put into perspective things my mortal brain and consciousness cannot make sense of in this mortal world. I have to believe this in order to keep on living. This is probably why I find myself drawn to the Nietzschean idea of eternal recurrence. This idea mortifies me. I can't think of a single happy moment of my life I'd want to relive my entire life again just to re-experience. I pretty much just see my existence as pointless and just take my life a moment at a time. Don't get me wrong, I'm not begging for death to knock at my door, but I can't say I'd feel entirely saddened or worried for that matter if I passed away tomorrow. I'm not so attached to life, I wonder what this world would be like without me. Frankly, I see my existence as nothing more but a fart in the wind. Like a fart in the wind, it would eventually fade from memory and be forgotten to the anvils of history. A mindset I can't fathom why others struggle so much with. We are just bags of flesh with no significant impact on life. Names will fade, eras will fall, and we will collectively be reduced to a couple hundred years summarized in a chapter of a history textbook. We are insignificant in the wider timeline of history. Speaking of an afterlife, it does appear Lost Odyssey was at least playing with the idea. I'd mentioned just a bit ago how Seth and Liram appear multiple times to help their children, equating them as guardian angels. In Shintoism, there is a concept known as kami. I'll rip the definition straight from Google. Kami are spirits, gods, or deities, but in terms also include a broader range of beings and forces of nature, both good and evil, that are worthy of reverence. Ancestors can become kami, especially if they are revered or extraordinary. I don't think it's even a stretch to consider this is why Seth and Liram were able to help beyond the grave. It's clear there are also evil entities in Lost Odyssey as well. The whole section with Mac and the Crimson Forest is a direct reference to kami, as well as the later side quest taking place in the optional Eastern Tribe Temple. Even the term Eastern Tribe alludes to the concept of kami. Since kami are tied to nature and energy, they have heavy ties to human emotion. This could be precisely why human emotions are affecting the realm Kaim and the others come from. This may very well explain, once they entered the human realm, why they became so overwhelmed by human emotion, and why Gongora began to crave power. It's also clear as day that Kaim and the other immortals came from the world of the gods, or the Shinkai, is precisely a reference to this. There is no mention of the underworld or Yomi mentioned, but I think it's safe to deduce people who die do go here. So it makes sense somewhere in this world Yomi would indeed exist. I'm fairly new to researching these concepts, so feel free to enlighten me in the comment sections below, but I'm pretty confident there's a lot of these concepts that did influence Lost Odyssey. And just to make another connection, the word usage of Eastern Tribe does insinuate the Asian culture or the Eastern culture. So I feel like that terminology was also used to hint at these very same ideas potentially being used to describe the afterlife and some of the concepts of spirits floating around in Lost Odyssey. When I first played Lost Odyssey, while I enjoyed it, I remember feeling like Sakaguchi had copped out with the idea of emotions being a virus that affected the world the immortals came from. However, like so much of life experience wields knowledge and certain things began to click. While we are unsure what the other world is, we can deduce they don't have emotions. Whatever these ethereal beings are that live on the other side of the Room of Mirrors, they couldn't understand what human emotions were. I likened this to angels or gods not having an idea of what human emotions would feel like. Dimensional beings perhaps perplexed by the advanced human psyche and the wide range of connections with one another, while remaining oblivious and unable to comprehend what awaits us on the other side. It's to say there is something about the human body that makes us uniquely human. It's again that age-old existentialist question. Why are we here? What is our purpose? It's games like this that make me question what really happened in the Garden of Eden, what the Tree of Knowledge really was, or to put it into a less religious framework, what was the spark that gave humans consciousness and made us self-aware of our existence? To live is to suffer, or to use a quote from an existentialist philosopher, Emil Cioran, Not to be born is undoubtedly the best plan of all. Unfortunately, it is within no one's reach. It's why I can't fathom somebody desiring to live forever, far beyond their years. I think of the events happening right now, the United States on the brink of civil war, Europe looking like it may be on that brink, especially Britain. World War III is a very real possibility. What becomes evident through the events of 1,000 Years of Dreams is how much war, death, and destruction Kaim has had to deal with. As a mercenary for hire, he oftentimes has been through a lot during the course of his 1,000 years lifespan. What would it be like to fight countless wars across history? What would it be like to watch multiple nations prosper and fall in your lifetime? Watch friends and loved ones turn evil, turn against each other in the name of political ideas. Ming witnesses this too, coup after coup, then she shuts them down one by one. Each of these skirmishes make up a chapter and may even be a paragraph or a sentence in Numera's long history. Would it not come to a time where you'd witness so much bloodshed you'd be desensitized to it? How would you not lose hope in humanity? It would take a certain kind of breed of human to live through such atrocities. Imagine fighting in multiple wars. If you were an immortal mercenary for hire and lived 1,000 years, as an American, we fought through 12 major wars, not counting small-scale events or skirmishes. That's a lot of bloodshed. Okay, let me make an argument as to why someone would want to live forever, though. Your life and how you view your circumstances is what makes you happy. Achieving moksha is a spiritual attainment many do seek. It's very well likely someone could see their existence through this. Many find purpose through achievements and continuously moving towards something, continuously having someone to look after. Perhaps my life would be different if I took Nietzsche's philosophy on God being dead and finding one's purpose. After all, if I was doomed to repeat life, Nietzsche's samsaric hellhole, would I even know there was one? Perhaps this is why I think so many can find happiness in the then and now. Perhaps I should take a look at me and Kaim and Sarah, drawing something from them. I need to find that moment of happiness, the thing to live for. Maybe I'm the problem. I'm just thinking out loud at this point, working through my own feelings after all. It's what the greatest philosophers have done for millennia, right? Lirim's one moment of happiness was her kids after all, but more than that, being able to see one of her parents knowing her children would be safe. Ming found happiness through love and enjoying the time she had with it. Seth was willing to give it up for those who she cared about. Each of these mortals looked death in the face and chose a reason to live. Why? Perhaps it's something I'll never understand, a never-ending journey I must contend with. Perhaps my question should be, as someone who does believe in God, ask a simple question. Ask not what God can do for you, but what you can do for God. Perhaps then I'll be able to find my true purpose and meaning in life. I think above all else what Lost Odyssey is trying to say. There are things worth living for, causes to fight for, people to always protect and cherish. What will you do with the time you were given? How will you view your life moving forward? Perhaps my lesson I need to learn is to find a way to be more optimistic. I feel like Kaim and Sarah's comments reflect this too when talking about what they're going to do after their children grow up. They'll have each other through the thick and thin. I honestly feel as if Lost Odyssey sends a powerful message even with suffering. Life is worth living, and it hits home to see two characters who have experienced so much suffering in their 1,000 years of life find another reason to go on for another millennia. Lost Odyssey is a true underrated gem by every definition of the word. The sad part about it, it doesn't have to be. While its graphics have some rough spots thanks to the aging of Unreal Engine 3, it's a game with a polished remaster and a few quality of life changes could make this underrated gem by the father of Final Fantasy more widely recognized. With the recent success of Clair Obscur Expedition 33, I think more than ever it proves Lost Odyssey could find an appreciating audience, since so much of Lost Odyssey's DNA is baked into Expedition 33 to begin with. The Xbox 360 emulator has already proven it cleans up nicely despite some graphical hiccups. Give it a nice remaster and add some much needed narration for the 1,000 Years of Dreams, I think this game would be more popular than it's ever been. While I can't say Lost Odyssey is a classic I'd see myself returning to replay over and over and over, like Final Fantasy IX or Final Fantasy VII, I thoroughly enjoyed my time with Lost Odyssey. From its story to its characters, Lost Odyssey is a journey I can't ever forget. If you are a fan of Final Fantasy or a fan of JRPGs, you need to pick this game up and play it at least once. The amount of times Lost Odyssey emotionally messed me up, forcing me to hold back tears, is a testament to not only how good its story is, but how brilliant of a writer Hironobu Sakaguchi really is. I look forward to someday covering Fantasian and The Last Story. If you haven't played this amazing gem, please do so, especially if you enjoyed Expedition 33 and are looking for a game to satiate that JRPG itch. Stay safe out there, but most importantly, stay happy, be happy, game happy. Spoons is checking out.